Good afternoon again. Gonzalo Garcia here from Agency One. We'd like to welcome everybody. We're going to talk today about how to stand out in the business market. And Principal Financial Group is the presenter today. I'll introduce Patty here in just a minute. But what's important about Principal's business owner platform, or BOS as it's called, they do provide quite a bit of services, and not everybody is always aware of all the value and all the support services that Principal provides in this space. So just very quickly, business owner retirement analysis, family business planning, planning for agribusiness, healthcare, and strategic alliances, a comprehensive platform that helps you analyze, build, and close each case, marketing tools and resources to help you build better cases, strategies to help before, during, and very importantly, after the sale, and a whole team of experts consult with you guys at every stage. Speaking of experts, our speaker today is Patti Bell, CPA, CLU. She's a certified public accountant, as mentioned, chartered life underwriter, and a member of the American Institute of CPAs, Iowa Society of CPAs, and local chapters of CLU. She's been with Principal since 1986. I've had the pleasure of working with Patti for many years, and I'm thrilled to transfer this over to her to get this started. Before we get started, just a quick admin issue. There is a Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen. I will be monitoring questions. You can also use the chat function if you prefer, but the Q&A is typically helpful if I can get everything in one place. We encourage you all to ask questions throughout. I will put a pause on Patti so we can address your questions, and then we will keep moving. So thank you everybody again for being here, and we look forward to launching this. Patti, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. It's wonderful to be here. And I really always enjoy talking about the business market. And some might say, since you went ahead and said been here a really long time, some people just might say that I'm here because I don't have anything else to do. But I actually think, I'm here because a lot of this work with the business market and the business owners, it's interesting. There's so many businesses in America, and just the ability to do business with them and have them each tell your story, it is really wonderful. So let's start by just talking about, we know Principal Financial Group does a lot of research in the business market arena. And so you can see some of the stats on the screen that 33 million small businesses, most of them have under 500 employees, and many of them are family owned. And so something that's kind of perked up in the last few years of our research is that family-owned businesses are tending to gift more than sell. Now, I think that is an entirely great opportunity for all of you, because what do you know about gifting versus selling? In a sales situation, if Gonzalo and I are in business and we're related, and he's going to be my successor, and I gift it to him, I'm not getting anything. So if we know that's the plan, then the ability of Gonzalo to buy me out or to get my interest, I've got to have another bucket of money that is similar to what I've been living off of when I owned the business. So that notice that maybe these family-owned businesses are gifting more than selling, that's a huge opportunity for all of you. And I think it's a really great question for you to ask when you're dealing with a family-owned business. What's the plan? What's your succession plan? But maybe to kind of back things up a little bit, what I think of with regard to the business market, we know business owners care about three things. They care about their business, they care about their employees, and they care about themselves. And so let's talk a little bit about what that means when they take care of their business. So taking care of their business means, how is that business going to continue on through business succession, through the loss of a key person. And so that business protection, that's probably the big umbrella here in taking care of the business. Because so many times when we're dealing with business owners, we like to ask, maybe you have a favorite question, but there's two things that come to my mind when we're dealing with business protection and key person is whose resignation do you not want to see on the desk when you come in the door in the morning? That's a very easy question. Um, and the second question that I like to see is people don't, business owners don't necessarily identify key people the way that we do. And so I like to ask the question of the business owner, if if you post this position on a job market, how many applicants are you going to get? If you're going to get 600 applicants, you're probably dealing with a, a position that's not super key. It's important, but maybe not key. If the number of applicants that are coming in the door is really 6, then that's a very unique talent, a very unique position, and we want to make sure that we um, have the ability to identify that person as key. Um, Overhead expense, that's going to just help in the case of a disability of that business owner or that key person, just to make sure that the expenses and the lights can stay on. Now, business succession, there's a whole lot of information that goes into business succession. The most important one, really, is the buy-sell agreement. The buy-sell agreement, and we do a complimentary service called a buy-sell review. So if your clients have a buy-sell agreement, we should take a look at it, because last year, we won't go into it a lot this presentation, but there was a court case at the Supreme Court level last year that called the Connolly case that impacted a lot of buy-sell agreements. And so they really should all be reviewed. Um, and and always what I think of when we look at a buy-sell agreement, it's not really to um, say whether or not the buy-sell agreement is been done by an attorney who did a good job. I view it as our role is in working with the client is to make sure they have the right amount of money in the right place at the right time. And so by right place, we need to know whose responsibility. Is it a company responsibility to buy, or is it a corporate responsibility? If it's the right time, what are the triggering events? And the triggering events could be the death, disability, divorce, retirement. And does their buy-sell agreement have all of those? And most of the time, our business owners who have a buy-sell agreement have done it and put it in a drawer and not looked at it in a while. So, right amount of money, we also still need to know what's the purchase price. So, right amount of money, right place, right time, all things that we can tell when we look at that buy-sell agreement. So, looking at that helps us provide more direction for that business owner to protect their business and make sure that it lasts beyond the time frame of when they're owners. If they can get that second or third generation, or if they can get that successor the right amount of money, and being able to maybe use one of the retention or retirement tools on that right hand side to maybe help, especially if an employee is the successor, making sure that they've got some money to use as a down payment, for example, and then go to the bank for the rest.
Hey, Patty, real quick question is, as you're going through buy-sell reviews and so on, is oftentimes we see folks that have a corporate operating agreement, but they have not actually completed a buy-sell agreement. Can you talk a little bit about kind of how you look at those things? Because there's always little bit of language in the operating agreement that's going to talk about what happens if this, that, or the other, but it's not truly a buy-sell agreement, and that's we see that a lot.
We do see that a lot. That's a great question. So, in that buy sell agreement, you're expecting to see a provision on purchase price, a provisions with all the triggering events. Those operating agreements or the stock agreements, they
Yeah.
generally just don't have enough information. So that leaves questions uncovered
Yeah.
about what to do when. And so that makes it difficult for that business to continue on.
So it may follow then that the advisors on the phone that are working with business owners is, oh yeah, we have a buy-sell agreement. Do
When they
you
might
really?
not.
Do you really? Right.
Yeah,
There may be a paragraph or two in your operating agreement of your company or your LLC or your incorporating documents, but it's not a full-on buy-sell agreement. And that's a real opportunity for people to ask those questions to see what's going
100%.
on behind the scenes. Great. Thank you, Patty.
Yes, of course. So maybe continuing on, I think um, I have maybe pressed the wrong button. There we go.
It's
Can you
still
still
the same
see
slide. It's
it's
still the same slide.
okay? So sorry about that
It's okay.
because it is stuck on. I have a complete one of you. I'm going to just stop sharing for a sec and then come back.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It
There.
happens. No
Now we're
worries.
back,
There
right?
we go. All right.
Perfect. Perfect. Not sure exactly what I did, but I did it. And then secondly, when protecting their business, a specific kind of business succession plan is an ESOP plan. And so employee stock ownership plans are a specific kind of succession plan when the employees maybe all own a part of the business and then use that to account for this when there's no logical successor. And then the opportunity for us as advisors and people who work with advisors is to make sure that account balance that's represented by the ESOP is funded with perhaps corporate owned life insurance. So that's taking care of the business. And now taking care of employees, let's start on the big level. So when we're looking at taking care of employees, there's a few kinds of benefits that we offer that take care of everybody. That's the qualified plan, the group benefits. But then as we keep on narrowing down and look at what we can offer key employees, um, most of the time, these key employees, I talked about how to identify them, but I also want to know you can do something different. So if Lisa is a key employee, I could do a bonus plan for her. I could do a split dollar plan for Gonzalo, and I could do a deferred comp plan for people in my kind of position. So it doesn't matter, but we can do whatever we want. And there's no requirements like there are on the qualified side, like on the 401k, where we kind of are required to offer the same thing to everybody. And then we got to take care of the business owner. That's the person they care about the most. And so there's a couple of things that we offer specific to family business planning, or as I talked about early on, that gift versus sale of a family-owned business. Looking at that business owner retirement analysis, so many times where that business is such a big part of what the planning that we're doing, that it's left out of kind of traditional retirement analysis. So we've created a tool that not only looks at whatever the buckets are that the business owner has for retirement, but also takes into consideration any money that they would get from the business. And so that goes hand in hand. We'll talk about it a little bit later, that informal business valuation that we do, being able to say, this is maybe what you're going to get for selling your business, and here's how it fits into your retirement buckets. Maybe making sure that we've got life insurance and disability insurance to protect the client from a loss of income, or protect their client if survivor income for that particular case. And then possibly doing some estate planning, gifting strategies, trust solutions, an ILIT, perhaps charitable giving. So the working in the business market means that we're going to do three things. We're going to help protect their business, help protect the key employees and the regular employees, and protect the business owner. So we've got tools, solutions, resources to help do all those things. Where I think that principle becomes a differentiator is in the approaches that we have that help open the door and uncover the opportunities. So when we look at approaches, the two most common ones that advisors are using are the informal business valuation and the buy-sell review. That informal business valuation, what we found, again, doing some research, is that when business owners don't know what their business is worth, they don't do the planning. And so probably about 20 years ago, we decided to offer this informal business valuation by asking the business owners to submit 3 years of corporate tax returns. And we come back with offering the valuation, and then it leads us into planning. And maybe just a quick story, because sometimes our business owners are kind of ambivalent about what's going on. And so I had done a valuation for two brothers who owned a dental practice in Atlanta. And we were going through the proposal, and the value of the practice was about $8 million. And the the two brothers were kind of like bored, really, and kind of didn't care. And I said, well, let's maybe take a step back. Brother A, brother B, do you have a buy-sell agreement? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, brother A, brother B, are you married? And brother A was married, brother B was not. And I said, brother A, do you have a will? And brother A said, yes, I do. And I'm like, okay, good. And do you leave everything to your wife? And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's great. I didn't know she was a dentist also. And he said, she's not. And I'm like, well, she can't own part of the practice then because she's not a dentist. And brother B, were you aware that because you don't have anything kind of controlling, that she's going to become your partner? Oh, so sometimes when we're working with business owners, you got to take that step back sometimes and help them understand why this is important. So having those ways to approach and uncovering the opportunities, that kind of example helps show you the benefit of the approach, and then the ability that we kind of support all through the process that we do the proposal. We want to be on the phone going through the proposal with you, with the business owner, and being able to, doing an informal business valuation is art, not science. And so being able to take responsibility for what part's art and what part's science, I think is very beneficial when you're on the phone.
Hey, Patty, before you keep going on the business valuation issue, so I was looking at some research the other day on something called projectequity.org, which
Okay.
has got all sorts of statistics and stuff. And one of the things that I saw was that in 2013, only about 18% of business owners had actually done a business valuation.
Yeah.
And last in the last year, as many as 60% of business owners have had their businesses formally valued. Now, I know you guys do a lot of business valuations and you get on phone with the advisors and the clients to discuss them as you did with the two dentists. Um, are you seeing a huge uptick in people valuing their businesses from your practice? I mean, you said you've been doing it for 10 years or so. Are you getting a huge increase in it?
Oh gosh, yes. God, what a great question. We actually, in the third quarter this year, had a 26% increase compared to last year.
Is that what I ask myself when I see things like that is there something going on that's causing that to happen? Is it a trend? Are people thinking about selling their businesses? Are people thinking about getting out of their business? And I only bring that up because for every one of the advisors on the phone here, if you have a tripling in 10 years of people doing business valuations from 18 to 60%, call it triple, that's got to be indicative of something going on. There's a lot of business owners probably thinking of getting out. And I think there's some statistics on that as well about people saying, the baby boomers are going to be selling their business or getting out of their business within the next 5 years. So can you kind of tie that all together a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's 100% correct. So there, you have a number of things going on. We have 33 million business owners. We have an aging population of those business owners. And then I think you have more knowledgeable advisors who understand and maybe have business owner clients that they maybe started helping with AUM, 401k, that kind of thing.
Right.
And now they're getting just a little bit better at asking the question to work with the business owner on a more complete package.
Yeah. And just one more nugget of information. 73% of privately held companies in the United States plan to transition ownership in the next decade. That's about $14 trillion of equity. So if the folks on this phone call don't think there's an opportunity to be in the business owner market today, especially in the older age, and I say older, right, approaching retirement or just slightly beyond 65, 73% of those folks are looking to cash out. And that's a huge opportunity for everybody on this call.
Oh, huge opportunity. And it just reminds me, Gonzalo, of I was working with a 80 some year old who wanted his key employee, who was 36, to be his key employee and his successor,
Hmm.
only he never told him. And so he never told him. And that meant the 36-year-old didn't have the money.
Yeah,
So you got to talk about what your plans are or it just doesn't happen.
yep,
it,
100%.
it just it makes what we're doing so important, which is a good segue
Yeah,
to um, why principal might be a good place to do that. And basically that means that we've got solutions that help. We have a very experienced team and we have the post sale. And so maybe talking a little bit about the pre-sale side. So I lead a team of CPAs and attorneys. I've mentioned two of the things that we are responsible for. That's the informal business valuation and the buy sell review. And the informal business valuation, we do roughly 1,500 of those a year. And the buy sell reviews, we do roughly about 300 to 400 of those a year, depends. We've been doing both of those services for well over a decade. Matter of fact, the informal business valuation we've been doing a lot longer than that. And the people on the team have a ton of experience. Um, I might lead the team in experience too, but almost everybody on the team has been in this industry at least 25 years. And so they have a lot of experience to help with split dollar, with setting up a bonus plan, with suggesting maybe a GRAT or a SLAT, doing financial modeling. So making sure that you kind of use that whole full circle, that's probably where we are key. So doing kind of consultation, making sure that you use your wholesaler, Mark Householder, using our hotline, and we also have another hotline. Um, our staff, we have 3 CPAs on staff and 4 attorneys, and what I think is kind of entertaining, and maybe it's just because it's me and I find some things kind of entertaining, is that when I first joined the team, I was the only CPA, and the person who brought me onto the team said, well, we're going to be focusing on the business market and we're going to need both disciplines. And for a very long time, I was the only CPA in the industry in an advanced sales role. So we're been doing this business market stuff a while, and feel like we have a pretty good handle on how we can help. So looking at there's a good list of things that we can help with. We've talked a lot about them. Um, I am happy to take questions about the informal business valuation buy sell review. But the other thing that we have is a business needs assessment. It's a digital tool that you can send and let your business owner clients complete an assessment of those 3 areas of how they're taking care of their business, how they're taking care of employees, and how they're taking care of themselves. And it gives them a grade. And when they finish the assessment, email comes back to you, the advisor, to say, hey, Bell Enterprises completed the assessment on key employees, and here's what they said. And so that's just a natural way to call that client back and say, hey, I saw the information that you had completed, and it says that you're unhappy with your 401k. Tell me about that. So it's really a cool tool. So I don't want to take up a lot of time talking about that, but happy to answer any questions and at any point in time. But we have a lot of designs. We don't have like a one size fits all. Have some point of sale assistance available through Mark Householder. Being able to focus on the business market and do some customized proposals.
Hey, Patty. So one of the questions from the folks on the phone, Mr. Butler, is there a cost structure to the business owner for these services?
Oh, great question. We offer the informal business valuation and the buy sell review complimentary.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Great. It's a great service. And for those of you, I have had clients and I've worked with clients who did the business valuation and the informal business valuation and the buy sell reviews. I've been on the phone with a client, with Patty, with people on Patty's team, and they do an awesome job going through the 5 different methodologies for the valuation and things that they find in the buy sell review process that are really impactful to those clients because there's a lot of things they don't know. So
100%.
kudos to you guys.
Thank you. I mean, that is why I'm still working, because it's really entertaining work. And remember, here in America, you can make money really weird ways. So
Yeah.
doing really weird businesses,
Yeah.
so cleaning dirt, alligator farm, lots of interesting things. But we probably don't have time to go into all the different fun companies that we've seen. Um, and then, of course, after the sale. So we've got all kinds of help that we can do before and during, and then kind of another place that sets us apart is being able to contact these people who bought solutions from us in the business market and communicate with them based on how they purchased from us. For example, last year I mentioned that we had that Supreme Court decision, the Connolly case. So everyone that had an entity purchase, buy, sell on the books at Principal, we communicated with them about that court case. And you can't do that unless you're able to categorize them. And so being able to do that category and do plan level reporting and policy administration as a combination to help for the before, during, and after the sale, that that is a differentiator as well. And maybe just to anticipate a second question about cost is that we do that administration for the business market cases at no cost as well.
Yeah. Patty, I got another question from Madison Curran. Can we obtain some case studies on ESOPs? I suspect that many of the transitioning companies will go this route. Are you seeing an uptick in ESOPs?
ESOPs, we do administer them, and I don't know that I would say we're seeing an increase because it's such a specific solution. You have to kind of have at least 30 employees, maybe about 5 million of value in order to make an ESOP work. ESOP is like a qualified plan.
Yeah.
So there's lots of rules, lots of guidelines, and so you need a qualified kind of administrator for that.
Yep.
And because of the expense, and every year that company has to get a certified business valuation.
Hmm.
So while an uptick in ESOP seems like it would be, the cost is kind of prohibitive sometimes for those people who say, oh, I just want to use an ESOP. So we do have a mechanism. We've got great ESOP consultants that can help determine whether ESOP is a good fit. And when it's not a good fit, we've got all kinds of solutions. Maybe it's a hybrid cross purchase arrangement. Maybe it's a cross endorsement arrangement. There all kinds of different kind of ways we could do buy sell agreements in order to help talk them through the right kind of succession plan.
And do you have material or some case studies on ESOPs that you can make available to the folks? And we can certainly send it out to the different to all
Yeah,
attendees.
yeah. I'm
So
just going to
we
make
can circle back with that. Madison, if you contact your wholesaler, regional vice president, or your sales VP to help you get that, but we'll make that available through the inside channels at SPG, and then we'll make sure that gets distributed. I know you want to keep going on some of your slides, but I have one more question. It's a
no,
short
it's
one.
okay.
How
It's
often should
okay.
business valuations be done? So if somebody does a
Oh,
valuation today, is it 2 years, 3 years, every year, every 5 years?
yeah, I would say every 3 years I would do that. Or if something significant has happened, and I would actually say that with regard to the buy sell review as well, maybe
Mhm.
every 3 years. But the principal also offers a business value increase rider on our policies.
Yep.
And so what happens if you start a policy, let's just say it's $1 million, and you put this business value increase rider on, there's an automatic 5% increase in the first year and an automatic 5% increase in the second year. And then with no underwriting, no anything. And then the third year, we do a true up. So the financial information comes back to my team, and the team does a informal business valuation, and they may qualify if they're growing really fast, then they may qualify, I think, for up to 30% increase. So it's a every 3 years, unless maybe they've done a merger, an acquisition, or
Yeah.
something else that would drive a difference.
Yeah. The other thing that's great about evaluation is that when you get to financial underwriting, you got two, three business partners, maybe more. The underwriting teams use the valuation as their financial justification for the amount of insurance that's applied for, which is a great service as well, and certainly streamlines the underwriting side. Um, Patty, the presentation will be made available. Lisa, we can distribute that as well. I've got another question on that. We can certainly send that out through our communication channels.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. And I'll be wrapping up in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of the kinds of policies that come within the business market. So we've got over 24,000 plans, 46,000 policies, and the average premium on those policies is roughly $5,800 dollars annually. So sometimes working in the business market is lucrative because it's maybe a little bit bigger case, and you might have multiple cases because you may be two or three key people or the two or three business owners that we're funding the buy-sell agreement with. So just working in the business market is a great opportunity. And just the generally top three sales that we see in the business market are for key person, buy sell, and the key employee benefits. So key person, we do a lot with that, and being able to underwrite at a guaranteed issue basis to perhaps buy sell funding, as you mentioned, Gonzalo, using our valuation to establish so they don't have to do any more financial underwriting. It's very helpful. And then we kind of lead in the key employee benefits and have the ability to kind of tailor that specific key employee benefit to what the objectives are of the client, whether they want control or maybe they want the deduction or they maybe want somewhere in the middle, being able to do that. Um, Working with a leader, I think you guys understand that Principal has been focusing on the business market for a while. We don't need to go through those, and being able to kind of give you information that highlights some of the things that we talked about today, leaving you kind of with two thoughts. One, from a client basis, that we're going to help them take care of their business, take care of employees, and take care of themselves. And from an advisor perspective, being able to provide you assistance before, during, and after the sale. Perfect. That's it. And I'm happy to take any additional questions.
If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A or in the chat. I will continue to ask a couple more questions of Patti. You talked at the beginning, or maybe I mentioned it, agribusiness, healthcare, strategic alliances. There's not a lot of people doing a lot of work in the agribusiness. I think you've got one other company that does a lot of work in that space out of Columbus, Ohio, maybe.
Yes.
But it's a pretty niche market, right? And so for people that are dealing with farmers and ranchers and so on and so forth, there's some real opportunities there.
Huge opportunities. And it's not necessarily around the valuation itself, because generally, if Gonzalo owns a farm next to mine, he knows what the per acre charge is going to be. But it's more along the lines of those are specific kind of family businesses usually. So handling family conflict with regard to agribusiness is usually the point that we try to help arm you with, is how to manage that conflict.
Great. I will give everybody a minute or two more to ask any questions. While we're doing that, Lisa, can you jump on? I think we've got one or two more webinars already scheduled for those folks that are still on the call. Can you give us some dates and what our topics are?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. We've got one more for the month of November and October, excuse me, and that is tomorrow. It's on annuities with our annuity expert, Sal Zagleski from BSMG, and he's going to review the annuity landscape and discuss new opportunities, new products, and that sort of thing. So we hope you can join us if you've certainly if you've registered, and if you haven't registered, be on the lookout for another invite going out tomorrow morning as a last chance to register. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lisa. Patti, I don't see any more questions on behalf of, oh, there we go. We got one more. Thank you, Terry Riffle, for squeezing one in here at the end. Can buy-sell agreements be contested by a surviving spouse?
100%, which is why
It's a great question.
in our yes, it is a great question, because what we monitor when we review the buy-sell agreements is whether or not the spouse has signed the agreement. So especially if the spouse hasn't signed the agreement, that is really more contestable than if they haven't. And believe it or not, it's not prominent for the spouse to sign?
It's not a fun place to be.
Now, what a great
Yeah,
question.
it is.
And
Thank you, Terry,
I
for
had the
that.
I had the opportunity to talk to a number of business owners last week at a conference, and this gentleman, his son and his son's best friend started a business, and I asked if they had a buy-sell agreement, and he's like, "No, why would they need one of those? They're best friends." And I'm like,
It's
"They're
like the
best
two
friends,
dentists.
right? They're best friends today,
Yeah,
but who
yeah,
knows?
yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows?"
That's great. Well, listen, I'm a huge fan of the business owner market. I think there's demographics are on our side. If you are in this space, you have a bright future ahead of you. Principal Financial Group is eager and happy to help you in case design and implementation. And certainly, I think probably the most important thing is in the beyond, right? The administration of these plans, and they have a unique platform to do that. Brian Wilcox says, well done, Patty. So thank you for that, Brian. Our thanks to you on behalf of Business Underwriters and BSMG and Agency One. Patty, thank you for being with us today, and we truly appreciate your time. So, and thanks for everybody on the phone for joining us this afternoon. And we will see you hopefully tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be certainly teeing up some additional webinars for November. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a great afternoon.
So thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Bye bye.